If there is one habit that had the power to reshape my life faster than anything else, it was this: I decided to command my mind before the day could command me. You see, most people wake up and immediately surrender their thoughts to the noise of the world. They reach for their phones, scroll through endless distractions, absorb other people's opinions, and allow external forces to shape their state of mind. Before they even take their first conscious breath, their thoughts are already scattered, their focus already stolen. And a scattered mind cannot lead a focused life. I realized that if I wanted to change my results, I had to first change my thoughts, and to change my thoughts, I had to become the master of my mind. So I began a simple but powerful habit the moment I woke up. I took control of my mental state. No phone, no noise, just me and my mind. I would sit in silence, close my eyes, and speak directly to myself with clarity and conviction. I would declare my intentions for the day. Today, I will move closer to my vision. Today, I will act with purpose and confidence. Today, I will not react to the world. I will create my own. At first, it felt unusual, like I was pretending, but within days, something profound began to happen. My mornings became sharper, my thoughts clearer, my actions more deliberate, and most importantly, I began to notice a shift in how the world responded to me. Here's the truth: most people overlook your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. If your thoughts are scattered, your life will be scattered. If your mind is focused, your actions will be focused, and focused actions always lead to results. Commanding my mind each morning wasn't just about motivation, it was about reprogramming my subconscious. The human mind is like a fertile field. Whatever seeds you plant in it will grow. Most people allow weeds of doubt, fear, and negativity to grow unchecked. But I chose to plant seeds of purpose, power, and determination. And soon, that's exactly what began to grow in my reality. Another powerful part of this habit was visualization. I didn't just repeat words. I saw the life I was building. I pictured myself completing my goals, speaking with confidence, overcoming obstacles, and succeeding in the areas that mattered most. My mind couldn't tell the difference between imagination and reality. And because it believed I was already becoming that person, it began guiding my actions to match that belief. When challenges appeared during the day, I no longer reacted with fear or hesitation. I had already commanded my response in the morning. When distractions tried to pull me off course, I remembered the intentions I had spoken to myself. I had programmed my compass, and nothing could shake my direction. This habit taught me a vital principle: if you do not command your mind, someone else will. The world is full of distractions, opinions, and influences trying to pull you in 1,000 directions. But when you claim the first hour of your day for your own thoughts, you build a fortress around your purpose. And the beauty of this habit is its simplicity. It doesn't require hours. It doesn't demand complicated rituals. It only requires one decision: the decision to take charge of your thoughts before the world has a chance to. After just 1 week of doing this, I felt different. I thought different. And most importantly, I acted different. I was no longer waking up and stumbling into my day. I was stepping into it like a leader walking onto a battlefield, fully prepared and armed with purpose. Commanding your mind each morning is not just a habit. It is a foundation for transformation. Master your thoughts, and your actions will follow. Master your actions, and your life will transform. And it all begins in those first quiet moments of the morning, when you decide that you, not the world, will write the story of your day. If the first habit reprogrammed my mind, this second one transformed my reality. I made a simple but life-altering decision every single day. I would take one bold action toward my goal. No matter how small, no matter how uncertain, no matter how uncomfortable. Most people wait for the perfect moment to act. They wait for more clarity, more confidence, more certainty. But the truth is that perfect moment never arrives. Waiting becomes a habit, and in the end, it robs them of their dreams. I learned that action, even the smallest step, has power. It creates movement. It builds momentum. And momentum is the secret force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. When I first adopted this habit, my steps were small. Some days it was sending an email I'd been putting off. Other days it was making a phone call that scared me. Sometimes it was writing one page of a plan or dedicating just 15 minutes to a new skill. But every single day, I asked myself one question: what bold move can I make today that brings me closer to my vision? And then I did it. No excuses, no hesitation. It's not the size of the action that matters. It's the consistency of action that transforms everything. Because each bold step sends a message, not just to the world, but to your own mind, that you are serious about your future. And when your actions and intentions align, life begins to respond. Something remarkable happens when you act boldly every day. Your fear begins to lose its grip. The same things that once felt intimidating start to feel normal. Courage is not something you're born with. It's something you build one decision at a time. And the more you act, the more courageous you become. I discovered that bold action is also the antidote to overthinking. We often paralyze ourselves by analyzing every possible outcome, waiting for certainty before we move. But clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Each step forward reveals the next. What once seemed complex becomes simple when you're already in motion. And here's another truth: action attracts opportunity. Doors that once seemed locked begin to open. People notice. Resources appear. Ideas evolve. The universe does not reward wishful thinking. It rewards movement. And even the smallest action, repeated with determination, creates a ripple effect that grows larger with time. Of course, not every action brought immediate results. Some days I felt like nothing was changing. But I reminded myself that success is rarely built overnight. It is built daily. Just as a river cuts through rock not by power, but by persistence, consistent bold action carves a new path for your life. By the end of that first week, I looked back and saw something extraordinary: a collection of small, courageous steps that had moved me further in 7 days than I had gone in months of planning and waiting. And it wasn't just the progress I'd made externally. It was the person I was becoming internally. I felt stronger, more decisive, more confident. My belief in myself had grown because I was proving to myself every single day that I was capable of action. This habit taught me a lesson I will never forget. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is built one bold step at a time. The steps don't need to be perfect. They don't even need to be big. They just need to be taken, daily, deliberately, and without hesitation. So I challenge you: start today. Choose one bold action, however small, that moves you toward your dream. Do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. With each step, your momentum will grow, your courage will deepen, and your reality will begin to change before your eyes. 1 week of bold action can create more transformation than a year of waiting, because the future doesn't belong to those who think about acting. It belongs to those who act boldly and consistently until the life they imagine becomes the life they live. The third habit that transformed my life within a single week was one most people overlook. Yet it is one of the most powerful forces shaping who we become. I became ruthless about protecting my environment. I treated it as if my future depended on it, because it does. Here's a truth many people never realize: your environment is not neutral. It is either pulling you forward toward growth and success, or it is silently dragging you backward into mediocrity. Every word you hear, every person you spend time with, every piece of content you consume, it is all programming your mind. And your mind, in turn, is creating your life. When I understood this, I looked around and asked myself a hard question: is my environment feeding my dreams or feeding my doubts? The answer changed everything. I realized I had been surrounding myself with negativity without even noticing it. Conversations filled with complaints. News that magnified fear. People who doubted everything, including themselves. And slowly, all of it had been shaping my thoughts, draining my ambition, and limiting my vision. So I made a decision that felt uncomfortable, but necessary. I started editing my environment with precision and purpose. I stopped engaging in negative conversations. I reduced my time with people who drained my energy. I became selective about what I read, watched, and listened to. If something didn't inspire, educate, or elevate me, I removed it from my daily life, and almost immediately my mental state began to change. It was as if heavy weights I had been carrying for years were suddenly lifted. My thoughts became clearer. My energy rose. My confidence grew. Because here's another truth: your mind cannot soar if it's chained by toxic surroundings. But protecting my environment wasn't just about removing the negative. It was also about deliberately adding the positive. I sought out books that challenged my thinking. I listened to voices that spoke about possibility instead of limitation. I connected with people who had a vision for their lives and were willing to push me toward mine. Soon, I was no longer trying to stay motivated. I was immersed in motivation every single day. One of the most profound changes I noticed was how my self-belief evolved. When I was surrounded by doubt, I doubted myself. But when I surrounded myself with growth, I grew. The people and ideas around you act as mirrors, reflecting back to you what you think is possible. And when your environment reflects possibility, your belief system expands to match it. Some people will call this cutting people off. But it's not about cutting anyone off. It's about choosing yourself. It's about deciding that your dreams are worth more than constant negativity. It's about valuing your future enough to build an environment that nourishes it. By the end of that first week, I noticed a powerful shift. The same goals that once felt distant now felt within reach. The same challenges that once seemed overwhelming now felt manageable. Why? Because I was no longer fighting my environment. My environment was fighting for me. And this is the real secret. Success is not just about willpower. It's about what surrounds your willpower. You cannot plant a seed in toxic soil and expect it to flourish. Likewise, you cannot plant a dream in a negative environment and expect it to grow. The soil must match the seed, and your environment must match your vision. So guard your environment fiercely. Choose the voices you allow into your mind. Be intentional with the people you spend time with. Feed your thoughts with ideas that strengthen you. Because when your surroundings begin to reflect the future you desire, your life begins to move toward that future with unstoppable force. Remember this: you are not just a product of your thoughts. You are a product of what surrounds your thoughts. Protect your environment, and you protect your destiny. Change your environment, and you change your life. The fourth habit that transformed my life in just 1 week was deceptively simple, but profoundly powerful. I practiced relentless gratitude, even for the smallest wins. At first glance, gratitude might seem like a soft idea, something nice to do when things go well. But I discovered that gratitude is not just an emotion. It's a force, a tool, a powerful mental discipline that can shift how you think, how you act, and ultimately, how your life unfolds. Before I began this habit, I was like most people, focused on what I lacked. I measured how far I still had to go, how much I hadn't achieved, and how many obstacles still stood in my way. And the more I focused on scarcity, the more scarcity I felt. It was a cycle that kept me trapped in frustration and self-doubt. So I decided to reverse that cycle. Every night, before I closed my eyes, I wrote down at least 3 things I was grateful for from that day. They didn't have to be big. Some days it was as small as finishing a task I'd been avoiding, having a meaningful conversation, or simply staying consistent with my habits. But I refused to end a single day without acknowledging the progress I had made. At first, this practice felt almost too simple to matter. But within a few days, I started noticing a remarkable shift in how I saw the world. My mind, once tuned to what was missing, began to notice what was present. Instead of obsessing over how far I had left to go, I started celebrating how far I had already come. And this shift did something powerful. It fueled my motivation. Success is built on momentum, and momentum grows when you recognize progress, even the smallest progress. Each time I wrote down a win, my belief in myself deepened. I began to see that I was moving forward, that my efforts were paying off. And belief, once strengthened, becomes unstoppable. Gratitude also changed how I responded to challenges. Before, obstacles felt heavy, discouraging, even unfair. But gratitude taught me to see them differently, not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth. When things didn't go as planned, I learned to ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of frustration, I felt purpose. Instead of defeat, I felt resilience. Another unexpected benefit was how gratitude improved my relationships. When you intentionally focus on what you appreciate, in people and opportunities, in moments, you naturally draw more of it into your life. People responded differently to me. Conversations became richer. Doors I didn't even know existed began to open. It was as if gratitude had tuned my mind to notice and attract abundance everywhere I looked. But perhaps the most profound lesson was this: gratitude and fear cannot occupy the same space. When you are deeply thankful, fear loses its power. Doubt begins to fade. Gratitude roots you firmly in the present while still fueling your vision for the future. It reminds you that you are already on your way, that you already have enough to take the next step. By the end of that first week, this habit had reshaped my entire mindset. I woke up each morning with a sense of purpose and went to sleep each night with a sense of peace. And this wasn't because everything in my life had changed. It was because I had changed how I viewed my life. That is the real power of gratitude. It doesn't just change how you feel. It changes how you think, how you act, and ultimately, what you attract. It teaches you to celebrate the journey, not just the destination. And when you learn to celebrate the journey, the destination comes faster than you ever imagined. So practice gratitude relentlessly, not once in a while, not only for the big victories, but every single day, for every single step forward. Because the small wins you celebrate today are the foundation of the massive successes you'll achieve tomorrow. Gratitude turns progress into momentum, and momentum into transformation. In just 1 week, these 5 habits began to rewrite my life. Not because they were complicated, but because they were powerful. I commanded my mind before the world had a chance to influence it. I took one bold action every single day, no matter how uncertain I felt. I guarded my environment as if my dreams depended on it, because they did. I practiced relentless gratitude, celebrating even the smallest victories. And I visualized the person I wanted to become until I felt I already was. These weren't random habits. They were deliberate choices, each one built on the other. Each one shifted something deep within me. Together, they formed a foundation strong enough to support the life I had always dreamed of. And the most remarkable part, I didn't have to wait months or years to see the difference. Change didn't arrive slowly and silently. It began almost immediately. Within days, my thoughts were sharper, my actions bolder, my confidence stronger. The obstacles that once felt immovable started to shrink. Opportunities that once seemed invisible began to reveal themselves. That is the power of focused daily discipline. It's not about trying to change your entire life overnight. It's about planting 5 powerful seeds and nurturing them every single day. And once those seeds take root, they grow into habits, and those habits shape your destiny. If you take nothing else from my journey, take this: your life does not change by chance, it changes by choice. You hold the power to rewrite your story, not someday, not when things get better, but now. 1 week of discipline can ignite a lifetime of transformation. One decision today can alter everything about tomorrow. So I challenge you, not as a speaker to an audience, but as one traveler to another on this path of growth. Start today. Command your mind. Take bold action. Protect your environment. Live with gratitude. Visualize your future. Do it not once, not sometimes, but every single day for 1 week. And then watch what happens. You will begin to see it, the subtle but undeniable shift. The person you were will start to fade, and the person you are meant to be will begin to emerge. That is how lives change. That is how destinies are written. The power to transform your life is already within you. The question is not, can you change? The question is, will you take the first step? Because 1 week from today, you could still be wishing for change, or you could already be living it. The choice is yours, and your new life is waiting.